Welcome back to another episode of Waranta, Kani, Mapali. We haven't done this for a while. Welcome back, Uncle Rob.
How are you, Thomas? It was great to catch up with you today at the Invasion Day rally here in Nipaluna at the Parliament House, and where you got up and spoke, and it was really good to hear from you and a lot of the other younger people who are literally leading our cause now. But having said that, I want to lead a bit of a discussion here today in that with the recent events in America with Trump being re-elected as the 47th president and Elon Musk having such a big say, we've now got the problem with Peter Dutton here in Australia, a man who's got no policies of his own, trying to emulate Trump and Musk and bring in his policies. And everything's divisive. We've got to get rid of this, we've got to get rid of that. And we've seen what's happening with ICE in America and the deportations and stuff. We don't want that sort of stuff here. And, Dutton's going to try it. Dutton sees himself as another Trump, being a successful, hard right-wing person. And it's just not right for any section of the community. But what he's going to do to the Aboriginal community, it beggars belief. There will be no funding. We will go back to pretty much the early 1900s.
Yep.
Certain municipalities will probably reintroduce sundowners and have mark the streets out Boundary Street again. So any black fella caught on the wrong side of it will get arrested. The global politics shift towards the hard right is very dangerous, not just for Aboriginal people, but for everyone. And I think, as we saw today with the amount of white support we have for changing the date, we have to help both sections of the community, our community and the general community, in stopping this sort of thing from happening. To be honest, I'm quite scared about what's going to happen over the next 4 years, because everything that is happening over there, Dutton's waiting 2 or 3 days, rewriting it in his own words and bringing it out as a policy. Not a very well thought out policy, because none of them are, but he's trying to bring it here. He's got a mandate now after the Voice referendum last year. He thinks if I get 62% of the country on my side, there you go. I've only got to be racist, continue being racist. People don't like blackfellas. Keep attacking them. I'm going to get in. And he will be the worst Prime Minister Australia will ever have. So, we've got to do something about stopping him. And doing our own bit also about speaking up about global politics. We can't let the Americans take this on by themselves. We've got to be quite vocal ourselves about the injustices that they're trying to bring in, because it's only a matter of days before it comes here as well. So you've got to be a bit preemptive.
It's definitely looking that way.
Yeah, well, it's a very scary time, and I don't know where we go from here. We just have to fight.
No, that's true. I guess you're right with that, and our issue with Dutton, a big part of today was along those lines as well, I guess, because obviously in my speech I made mention of the referendum. It doesn't matter, that X amount of people chose not to recognise us. That's fine. We figured that anyway was going to occur to a good extent. I do need to say something, and I said this to you, and I've said it to a few people. I sort of feel guilty for voting no, because, we had our reason. Our reason was nothing even remotely close to the reasoning of these other idiots. Ours was for a treaty. We called for the treaty. The treaty was the easiest, quickest way to fix not everything, but anything. This other stuff just wasn't going to do it. And now he's running with the fact, and a lot of other people for that matter, we all hear it on the streets. Why are you wearing that Aboriginal T-shirt? We voted no. Fuck off. For God's sakes.
Can't take it off me.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck getting anything off me. I don't understand the logic of that. And then you have him now riding the coattails of what's happened in America. And we already know he's as right wing as they come. He's trying to prop up what Israel's doing in Gaza as well. And it's not fair. It's not fair on the people that have no part in that. You can't label people anything over there because you're not living there. You don't know what the fuck's going on. And someone like Dutton doesn't have a clue. He's a failed excuse for a cop, let alone a politician.
All true, and I'm glad you mentioned the genocide that's happening in Gaza and that at the moment. It was absolutely brilliant today to have members from from TPAN, the Tasmanian Palestinian Action Network, come along and speak and gave us a chance to show our solidarity and reaffirm our solidarity with the people of Palestine. So yeah, thank you very much to those people who come along, whose names I cannot remember. But yeah, look, we have to be very careful with Dutton. He's an imitator. He doesn't have an original thought in his head. Everything he brings up is a policy, a failed policy in the past. His nuclear policy. Now he's run out of policies that he can sort of bring back up because the Labor government moved so far to the right, they've sort of taken those policies off him. So now he's having to follow his idol, Gina Rinehart, who's in love with Trump, because of his support of big business. And he's got to follow her lead in following Trump. And he's going to bring everything here. And with the amount of racism from that referendum last year we saw, and to be honest, Thomas, our votes, if we changed and voted yes, wouldn't have made any difference to the actual result here in Tasmania.
Exactly.
An extra 1%. It was still beaten by 20%. So I'm still quite proud of the stance we took because we had valid reasons for
it.
Yep. But yeah, now, like I said, the situation has changed. I don't think we can think about or even go back to asking for a voice again. We have to push forward. We have to push the treaty, not only with the states but with the Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth are the representatives of King Charles, and he is the sovereign of Australia. He has to come to the table and he has to put his signature on it as well. And that is the only way we can move forward. Going back to asking for another voice, I don't think it's going to work. We can put all that into a treaty document. We can put that truth-telling, a whole lot more, education, public service, identified positions and so on. Identified sub-departments within the public service. That is the way we have to go. But we have to be able to defeat this right-wing leanings that are coming through. Like I said, Dutton's going to be extreme. But the Labor Party themselves have moved so far to the right, there is no longer a broad left or centre left of the Labor Party.
Yep.
Their extreme left people are what we would have called in the 80s the broad left, which was one of the most powerful factions, but nowadays has got hardly any say whatsoever in the Australian Labor Party. When did they change? Why did they change? Was it because John Howard moved so far to the right, he left a vacuum? They thought, hey, we'll move into this vacuum. Well, that was the wrong move. They should have moved further to the left. And
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I probably should be joining the Labor Party and going in and saying that to their faces, but one person isn't going to change them. Not now. They've been bought out by too many multinationals and big business and mining and stuff who are slipping money into their pockets for free elections, and they've been bought. They are no longer the party of the working people.
I do laugh when
liberal light.
People, point fingers. Albanese, not so much, but obviously Bill Shorten, they'll point out, unionists and go into the union background. But I mean, for God's sakes, they're not even that way aligned anymore. It's so towards money.
May well have unions and been fantastic while they're in the union, but then they went into the Labor Party and they found out, hey, shit, the Labor Party's been hijacked. It is no longer the party of the unions. Yep. It's only on paper that it is. They've been bought out by the major companies.
Yep.
The ones who are forking over tens of thousands of dollars each time. Anything more than $10,000 has to be declared. So they fork over $9,950 each week. Here you go, this is for your re-election. This is for your re-election. This is for your re-election. Oh, we've got this bill coming up where we want to open another coal mine. Bingo! Here's another coal mine. And climate change is still going up. And Albert said, yeah, we're going to work on climate change. How? By opening more fucking coal mines?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, the Labor Party nowadays are liberal. Like they've moved so far to the right, they are the old Liberal Party. So the Greens are virtually today's Labor Party. But
Yep.
people look at the Greens, I think, Greenies and conservationists and stuff like that. Well, yes, they are. But in this day and age, that's exactly what we need. We've got climate change. Unless we do start doing something about the climate and the physical environment we're living in, well, we're not going to be living here in it for much longer. Our kids probably will. Our grandkids may. But after that, I don't really see, towards the year 2100, it's looking very bleak.
Here's one for you. We've had a warning down here. Young Jamie Graham, or Jam as they call him, he said to us that there's a possibility that green turtles may find their way into Tasmania. And we sort of went, I doubt it. And he's like, well, the first thing will be algae. But he goes, another thing is possibly like with the jellyfish. The
Yep,
jellyfish are everywhere down the
yep.
river, even in parts where it's barely brackish. They're almost going into fresh water.
And that's because the sea environment is so polluted. And I put a lot of that down to the salmon farm, because
Mm.
where the pollution has been building up under these pens, it's now spreading out into the wider environment. That's where we've seen these algal blooms. And with the algal blooms comes along their predators, which is the jellyfish.
Yep.
So we've got this bioluminescence all around Tasmania at the moment. Looks really beautiful, but at the same time, it's poisoning the environment. And a lot of that is coming from the salmon industry, who are in turn destroying the Maugean skate. But the government aren't going to do anything about it because they're also big donors. So we're screaming and screaming and screaming from the rooftops, and the people who should be listening are saying, "Oh, sorry, we can't hear you over the sound of the cash account."
Very true.
It's getting ridiculous. And yes, green turtles will be down here. We've already got species of fish down here that we didn't have for many years. We get snapper down here now that are decent size, whereas our snapper before used to be very small, but nowadays getting a 2 kilo snapper, nothing unusual,
Yep.
not unusual at all. So, it's the seas are warming up. They're also, like I said, the algal blooms are becoming more and more frequent. They started back in the early 90s or mid 80s was one of the first ones I heard of. But they're getting more and more frequent. What was once every 10 years is now every couple of years. And before long, it'll be all year. And
True.
how is that going to affect our fishing industry? Well, we can't really say for sure yet, can we? But the
No.
effects will be being felt now. Those effects will be felt now, and it'll take a while for the report to come out. When it does come out, it'll be a couple of years out of date, and the time to actually act will have passed because the government worked too slow on everything.
It's true. The salmon farm stuff's just getting ridiculous. The arguments, they've got to be out in the bays. And then the arguments are, well, we can't put them out further out to sea where it might be plausible. But even then, the more they want to do, the worse it's going to get and the less plausible it's going to be. But they won't come inland. Inland, we'd have more of a chance of being able to, control that situation and protect the area around it. But they just won't do it. And
Mm.
it's just so lazy. I mean, Asia does it, and Asia's slowly fixing some of their issues with their rivers, and it's the only way to do it. And we don't want to get to the point where they did. I mean, Jesus, some of those rivers in China are completely effed.
Yeah, well, the problem is though to put these types of things in costs money, and they're all about profit.
Yep.
And that's why they're greasing the government's pockets to keep their profits high. If their profits start dropping, they're still going to be in business here, but only to such time as they are forced to do something. And then their profits drop enough, they say, okay, no, we'll go somewhere else. We'll go to one of the African countries now, or we'll go to one of the Asian countries, somewhere that's in dire needs economically and needs the income that we will generate,
Yep.
and where
That's
there's
true.
politicians that are easily bought.
Speaking of, I mean, I don't want to go off topic, but speaking of the global warming issues and just, uh, we'll say councils and businesses not doing their part, the last couple of months I've dug in a bit against the bloody Hobart Council for not doing anything about these rabbits because I was seeing bandicoots, as you know. I was a bit of a photographer almost with my phone, filming them and videos and stuff, and I love the little buggers. And I've seen one this year, and I hadn't seen any for 6 months or the last 6 months, if not 7 months of last year. And I lost my mind. I wrote to the papers printed it. I was surprised. Other people started emailing me because my email got given out by the newspaper. They asked me to do that. People saying they're in my backyard, but they're all over the Eastern Shore and stuff where, it's a broader area for them to go.
Everywhere.
And
they are everywhere. My brother was here earlier and he was showing me photos of his backyard. Tiny little baby rabbits. Everywhere.
Yeah.
He said there must be 20 of them there. He said, and they're all over the place. He said, and he said, they're not just staying in my yard. He said, they're in everyone's yards. He said, I've got 20. He said, next door's probably got another 20 in that. He said, they are fucking everywhere.
It's getting bad.
Of course, his dog.
Oh, his dog.
His dog's only about the same size as the rabbits anyway, so he's not much use.
Yeah, no, it's getting bad. I was pissed off because I just said to him, I'm like, you've killed all the bandicoots because rabbits will go in if they're in the same area. They're going to dig up the ground to the point. Bandicoots will either leave and go up the hill, further up the bush to the near the gardens, or they'll kill them. Rabbits will kill them. They'll go into the area. They'll kick the shit out of them. They're done. And there's that many. I've seen one bandicoot. I could not believe it. I've seen a couple of the barred ones, but they only come out real late at night and they live in a different situation. I think they burrow. The others don't always burrow. They're more into leaf foliage and stuff. And it's just not fair. And these rabbit burrows are everywhere. We were going to go up there with ferrets, me and some people from New Norfolk, but it's not going to work. They've got to put as much as I hate to say it, they've got to put the virus back out and they keep holding off on it. And the more they do that, the less that helps too. So
exactly. And the dangers of, the Kalushi virus crossing over into other species. I'm positive that is what's happened, and that's what caused the devil facial tumour disease.
Yeah, a few people said that.
When Kalushi virus was released here into Tasmania, was not long afterwards, within a couple of years, that the devil facial tumour disease started showing up. No, and I reckon that's where it's coming from. Of course, I'm no scientist, but the timeline lines up.
Well, we see more of this than most other people, and I see a lot of it because I'm out walking all the time. So it really got to me with the bandicoots. And I mean, even without the virus, the council can still go up there. There's so many other ways to get rid of them and go through, clean up the burrows. The ground's going to fall apart as well. It's going to stuff up the cement and the bike track. They're digging under it.
Put that bloody Fox task force to use. You bought them rifles and four-wheel drives. Get them up there shooting them with 22s.
Well, I said
22-pound air rifles.
I told
if not, give me a 22-pound air rifle. I'll go up there every night shooting them.
Oh, I love it. I told the council I was going to go up there with a spear, and I said if I kill any, I'm leaving them on the bike track for you to pick up in the morning. And I got a little bit of a warning.
Have you seen the price of rabbits in the butcher shop?
Oh yeah. They're
2 years ago they were 4 years ago they were $23 each.
Yeah.
We used to sell them for $5 a brace.
Yep. Well, I mean, we used to get that many, we'd give them away.
If the council want me to, and they will buy me an air rifle, I'll go up there every night, shoot them, and I'll sell them. They don't have to pay me anything for it. I will sell them to the butchers.
I tell you what, go up there at certain times. I mean, there's some homeless people up there, so you'd have to be careful at some sections of it. But majority of the bike track. What was that?
I'll get them herding them for me.
Well, I'm sure they'd help. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd help. There's only a couple of fellas up that way, but you could almost just do it anyway.
Yeah, you get a feed a rabbit. If not, I'll shout you some McDonald's.
Done deal. It's just ridiculous, but it needs to be tidied up. And yeah, I'll tell you what, it's been interesting having this chat. As we said, we were going to make this one a a quicker one. We went into a couple of different topics there, but our main concern, as you've said, is what Dutton's planning to do, because it does look like he is almost a shoo-in to get in at this next election. And it's just ridiculous how far Labor's fallen, let alone the fact that Liberals have done nothing.
I wouldn't say he's a shoo-in to get in. I think our best hope is for a hung parliament. I really think it is. We have got to start putting more independence in and more of the teals, as they call themselves. People who have got more along our lines of thought and our lines of living. People haven't been professional politicians all their lives and been earning $200,000 every year for the last 20 or 30 years. I mean, they're too far removed from reality.
It's true.
I'm not sure what the average wage is here in Australia anymore, but I've never earned more than $50,000 a year in my life. For people like me and you who haven't been earning that sort of money, we've got far different needs and stuff to what they have. You know, they've got not only their own house they live in, they've got investment properties and stuff. Shit, we're flat out affording to rent a place. So, yeah, we have to start voting in favour of ourselves, not along party lines. Forget party lines. When a party institutes something, you can't go and complain about it because there's no one to complain to. The party says, who are the party? Who can I complain to that's going to change it? Oh, you have to wait for the annual general meeting.
We were cut off there, so we're going to wind it up anyway. As usual, we went on a nice tangent and gave our view on some broad politics across the world, let alone Australia. But that's what we do here.
Yep, and it's one of those things. Everything that we do here is affected by what happens across the world. So it's a case of, in today's climate, we have to keep an eye on what's happening everywhere.
Very true. I will add, we're very grateful for all the people that turned up today. As you mentioned, there was a lot. Could have been up to 5,000. We're not sure yet. Everyone who spoke was good. And yeah.
The one thing I really noticed today was when they asked for all the non-Aboriginal people to put their hands up. We were outnumbered. We were outnumbered big time. Yep. The amount of support we have now for Aboriginal causes just blows my mind. So we didn't have that sort of support back in the 80s. And, I can remember some of the marches where we had less than 100 people and were being abused all the way.
Nick mentioned it, didn't he, in his speech?
Yeah, he probably remembers some of them where we were marching on the footpath because if we'd stepped foot on the road, we were told we were going to be arrested. We weren't allowed on the road. So you'd be marching down the footpath and you'd have just general blokes and men and women on the side of the road on the same footpath abusing hell of you and trying to punch you and stuff like that. We couldn't punch back, and we made sure that our people didn't punch back because we didn't like the optics. But the assaults against us were never reported. So, that's the way things go. But Nick remembers those marches as well. He just come along with us on those marches at the time. He was one of the few white people who did. And there were times there where there were less than 100. Flat out filling up the old Koori Cruiser with getting people into the community. So, it just blows my mind every time I go to these rallies now and I look around the park and I see so many people and see so many of the same faces again and again and again and know that this is not just a one-off thing they're doing. They actually mean this and they're coming back time and time again. And you see them then online and making comments and stuff and it just, it really fills my heart. It makes me think that there is some hope. So,
it's true. We do sometimes sound like we're we're more concerned on the negative side of things, but the positives are highlighted to us, especially in person at things like these marches.
It's not just marches, but in other things we do with being online and the amount of support we get online for things. Today, on Blue Sky, I've had lots of people saying, "Look, we're standing with you, Rob. We're right behind you." And the amount of support on Blue Sky for changing the date is just incredible. So, I'd like to thank everybody who, right the way across Australia, who has been supporting their communities in whichever state or whichever city they're in today. thank you very, very much from both me and Thomas and the rest of the Aboriginal community. Know that it's appreciated, and hey, we can't do this without you. And thank you very, very much.
Very true. All right. We'll wind it up, and as we said, we'll be in contact, and we will get some more of these happening more often.
Yep, and as you can see, I've got demands on me.
we could hear the purring.
It doesn't surprise me. She's quite
awesome.
loud. He's a my little yardy.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Woolika.
Okay. See you later. Woolika.